In the vast, ink-black expanse of the Andromeda sector, the year unfolded as a silent requiem for lost civilizations. Here, among the remnants of shattered colonies and drifting cosmic debris, sailed the Aurora's Edge, humanity's final warship and its last, desperate beacon of hope. The ship itself was a marvel of engineering, its hull scarred by past battles yet gleaming with a resilient, almost defiant luster. Beneath the intricate web of sensor arrays and battle-scarred plating, a steady hum of energy and purpose resonated through its corridors. Every creak of metal and flicker of light in the control panels whispered tales of victories long past and losses too heavy to forget. Captain Arya Nova stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the panoramic viewport that framed the endless void. The swirling nebulae and the distant glimmer of dying stars painted a picture of both sublime beauty and imminent peril. The silence of space was profound, yet it carried with it the weight of impending conflict. In that moment, the cosmos seemed to hold its breath, as if aware that the fate of entire worlds balanced precariously on the edge of a knife. Aria's gaze wandered over the scattered remnants of abandoned outposts and derelict vessels that floated like ghosts. Each fragment told a story, a narrative of ambition, of human frailty, and of battles that had reshaped the known universe. Despite the calm exterior of the bridge, a storm brewed within her. Memories of decisions made in the heat of battle and the echoes of fallen comrades haunted her thoughts, mingling with a burning resolve to steer her crew through the darkness. A soft chime from the console interrupted her reverie. "Captain, sensors have detected an anomalous energy signature at our aft port," reported a young officer, his voice tinged with both caution and curiosity. Aria's hand tightened around the railing as she turned to face the emerging data. This was not the first anomaly they had encountered, but in the solitude of deep space, each signifier held a dual promise, either a hidden sanctuary or the ominous harbinger of yet another enemy's approach. Drawing a deep breath, Arya addressed her crew with measured authority. "All stations, prepare for potential engagement. Maintain readiness and monitor all channels," she commanded, her voice echoing through the bridge with a calm that belied the inner turmoil. It was in these quiet moments before the storm that the true mettle of a leader was tested, a test of resolve, courage, and the unyielding desire to protect a species teetering on the brink of oblivion. Outside, the cosmic dance of light and shadow continued unabated. The Aurora's Edge sailed steadily forward, its engines thrumming like the heartbeat of a determined warrior, ready to confront whatever fate had in store. In that silent, star-studded frontier, Captain Arya Nova and her crew embarked on a journey that would not only define their destiny, but also the future of humanity itself. In the dim corridors of the Aurora's Edge, the past reverberated like a low, haunting melody. The bridge's ambient hum seemed to carry fragments of history, whispers of a once mighty coalition that had spanned the stars, now reduced to memory and regret. As the crew busied themselves with the routine of deep space vigilance, the aged star maps and flickering hollow images revealed relics of a golden age now tarnished by time and conflict. Captain Arya Nova gathered her senior officers in the dim light of the strategy room, a sanctum of maps, holograms, and the silent echoes of lost dreams. The room was filled with the muted glow of ancient charts depicting the rise and subsequent fall of Earth's interstellar coalition. Each glowing line and faded annotation told tales of alliances forged in hope and shattered by betrayal, a reminder that even the grandest endeavors were vulnerable to the ravages of time. Arya's voice, steady and resolute, broke the silence. "We stand on the remnants of what once was," she said, her eyes scanning the data before her. "Our forebears built a network that united worlds, but the fractures within have allowed chaos to seep in. Today, as we prepare for what may come, we honor their legacy and learn from their downfall." Her words were not merely historical recountings. They were a call to awaken the spirit of unity and resolve that had once united entire civilizations. As the officers exchanged somber glances, the atmosphere in the room thickened with unspoken truths. A young navigator, barely past her 20s, timidly added, "Captain, if only we could piece together the strategies that once held the coalition together, Maybe we could forge a path to restore what has been lost. Her question hung in the air like a fragile hope, mingling with the weight of inevitable sacrifice. Across the Aurora's edge, intercoms buzzed with fragmented transmissions intercepted from long-dormant channels. They spoke of ancient outposts, hidden bunkers, and encrypted messages from the days when humanity's collective might was its shield against the unknown. Each message was a spark, igniting memories of fierce battles and courageous sacrifices that had once united disparate worlds. These echoes of the past served as both a reminder and a warning. The coalition had fallen, and the enemy now pressed forward with a determination that mirrored the hubris of those who had once been overconfident in their unity. Outside, in the cold silence of space, the scattered debris of shattered colonies floated like spectral guardians of bygone eras. The ghostly remnants of satellites and space stations provided a stark contrast to the vibrant determination within the warship. They were monuments to dreams that had soared too high, only to be brought low by the harsh realities of ambition and human frailty. In that reflective chamber, Aria's mind raced, not with regret, but with a steely resolve to learn from history's missteps. She knew that understanding the past was the only way to arm her crew against the encroaching darkness. With a quiet determination, she ordered the historical archives to be compiled and disseminated among the command staff. The lessons of the fallen coalition were to be a guiding light, a beacon in these uncertain times. As the meeting drew to a close, the legacy of a fractured empire echoed in every whispered memory and every resolute promise to rebuild. In the silent interplay of light and shadow on the strategy room walls, Captain Aria Nova and her team embraced the weight of history. Their mission was not only to defend the remnants of human civilization, but to breathe life back into the spirit of unity, a spirit that had once defied the vast emptiness of space. A sudden tremor of energy shattered the deceptive calm of the void. Without warning, sensors blared to life, bathing the bridge in a harsh red glow that pulsed with urgency. The silence that had reigned over the Aurora's edge for so long was abruptly replaced by a cacophony of alerts, crackling static, and the rapid-fire cadence of commands. Captain, unidentified energy signature confirmed at our aft port. Magnitude off the charts, the young officer announced, his voice a mix of alarm and restrained excitement. The data scrawled across holographic displays revealed a formation of vessels emerging from the dark, like predatory shadows coalescing from the depths of a nightmare. Captain Aria Nova's eyes narrowed as she scrutinized the incoming threat. The enemy was not merely a stray band of marauders, but a well-orchestrated force, moving with an eerie precision that hinted at a calculated design. The air on the bridge was electric with anticipation. Every heartbeat seemed to echo the impending clash of wills in the boundless theater of space. "Engage battle stations," Arya commanded, her voice slicing through the mounting tension. The crew leaped into action, their movements a finely tuned ballet of discipline and urgency. Across the ship, seasoned veterans and fresh recruits alike braced for the chaos that was about to erupt. Outside the viewport, the enemy fleet revealed itself in chilling clarity. Sleek, menacing warships, their surfaces etched with unfamiliar symbols and bristling with energy weapons, glided ominously against the backdrop of swirling nebulae. The first salvo of plasma torpedoes streaked toward the Aurora's edge, igniting a silent inferno as they collided with its shield generators. Explosions rippled across the void, momentarily transforming the darkness into a tempest of light and fury. Inside the command center, Aria's mind raced through countless tactical scenarios. She was acutely aware that every decision in these fleeting moments could dictate the survival or demise of her crew and, by extension, humanity itself. Her hands danced over the control panel as she issued rapid-fire orders, orchestrating a counterattack with the precision of a master conductor. Divert power to forward shields, initiate evasive maneuvers, lock on to the lead vessel, and prepare to return fire. The Aurora's edge shuddered under the impact of enemy fire, its sturdy frame groaning as it absorbed the brunt of the initial assault. In that dire moment, every soul aboard felt the weight of the cosmos pressing down upon them, a reminder of the fragile line between survival and obliteration. Amid the chaos, a brief but piercing exchange of dialogue crackled over the intercom, reflecting the steely determination that united the crew. "Hold fast, everyone. This isn't our first battle, and it won't be our last," came a rallying cry from the communications officer, resonating with the hope and grit of a people who had faced darkness before and emerged stronger. Aria's gaze shifted to the tactical display, where the enemy's formation began to unravel like threads of a sinister tapestry. A decisive maneuver, a feint by one of the smaller enemy crafts, brought a flicker of opportunity. With a calculated precision born of countless battles fought in the void, Arya ordered a countermeasure that would test the mettle of her adversaries. "Fire at will. Target the secondary engines of the lead vessel. We need to cripple their formation before they overwhelm us." In that explosive moment, the Aurora's Edge transformed from a lone outpost into a living, breathing bastion of defiance. Bolstered by the fierce camaraderie of a crew united against a common threat, the ship's energy surged as weapon systems roared to life, sending arcs of plasma slicing through the enemy ranks. The void erupted in a dazzling display of light and darkness, a cosmic ballet of destruction and hope that would etch itself into the annals of human resilience. As the battle raged on, the enemy's ferocity became ever more apparent, each volley of fire and countermeasure deepening the chasm between life and oblivion. The chapter of the enemy's first strike closed with the Aurora's Edge locked in a perilous dance with fate, a single warship standing as the last bulwark against a tide of annihilation, its fate intertwined with the destiny of all humankind. In the quiet aftermath of battle, when the cacophony of alarms and the roar of weaponry subsided to an eerie hum, Captain Arya Nova found herself alone in the solitude of her private quarters. The gentle thrum of the Aurora's Edge's engines provided a steady, almost meditative counterpoint to the chaos of earlier moments. Here, shielded from the clamor of the bridge, the weight of command pressed heavily upon her, a relentless reminder of every choice made and every life entrusted to her care. Arya sat before a large viewport, her gaze fixed on the sprawling tapestry of stars and the lingering traces of conflict. Each flicker of light in the distance evoked memories that surged like ghosts in the darkness. The battle, with its triumphant explosions and narrow escapes, had left more than just scars on the ship. It had etched deep lines of sorrow and resolve on her soul. In the dim light of her chamber, flashbacks unfurled like fragments of a long-forgotten film. She recalled the fierce determination of her crew, the camaraderie that blossomed amidst adversity, and the relentless tide of enemy forces that had pushed them to the brink. But more haunting were the faces of those who had fallen, men and women who had placed their trust in her decisions, only to be swept away in the tide of cosmic violence. Each memory was a silent testament to the cost of leadership. Her thoughts wandered back to a particular day, long before the Aurora's Edge became a warship, a day marked by the bitter taste of defeat and the realization that every command carried a price. The memory of a frantic order, the desperate pleas of a dying subordinate, and the helpless silence of the void still reverberated within her. It was in that crucible of despair that Arya had forged her resolve, vowing never again to let uncertainty or hesitation dictate the fate of those under her command. A soft knock at the door broke her reverie. Lieutenant Mara, her most trusted aide, entered with cautious concern etched upon her youthful face. "Captain, I thought you might need some company," Mara said gently, setting down a datapad filled with the latest battle reports. The young officer's eyes conveyed both empathy and unwavering loyalty, a silent pledge to stand by Arya even in the darkest hours. Arya's lips curved into a weary smile, touched by the gesture, yet burdened by the enormity of her responsibility. "Thank you, Lieutenant," she replied quietly, her voice a blend of gratitude and melancholy. "The weight of command is a solitary journey, and tonight, it feels heavier than ever." For a brief moment, she allowed herself to be vulnerable, sharing the unspoken anguish of a leader who had seen too much sacrifice. Together, they pored over the tactical maps and casualty reports, each detail a reminder of the lives hanging in the balance. The room was filled with the soft hum of data streams and the rustle of paper, mundane sounds that belied the gravity of their situation. As they discussed strategies for future engagements, the conversation shifted naturally to the personal toll that such relentless conflict exacted. Mara's sincere concern sparked a candid dialogue, and for a while, the formal barriers between captain and subordinate dissolved into a shared human experience. In the reflective glow of that late hour, Captain Arya Nova resolved to honor the memories of those lost by forging a future where every command was tempered with compassion, every decision weighed with both courage and care. The battle scars of the past would guide her, not only as a reminder of the cost of war, but also as an impetus to steer humanity toward redemption. As the night deepened and the stars continued their silent vigil, Arya's resolve hardened into a quiet promise. No matter how heavy the burden, she would lead her crew with the unwavering determination to protect, preserve, and ultimately, to prevail. In that moment, amidst the whispers of the cosmos and the lingering echoes of battle, the true essence of leadership shone through, a beacon in the darkness, guiding the Aurora's Edge and its crew into the uncertain dawn of tomorrow. A pall of distrust and whispered fears crept along the corridors of the Aurora's Edge as the crew began to sense that the enemy was not the only force lurking in the darkness. In the dim light of the command center, where holographic maps and tactical charts flickered with urgent red warnings, an unsettling truth began to emerge, a truth that shook the very foundation of loyalty within the ship. It started with the quiet rustle of encrypted messages intercepted from a shadowy source. These transmissions hinted at a clandestine alliance, one that betrayed long-held oaths and fractured the bond between comrades. Captain Arya Nova convened an emergency meeting in a secure, isolated war room, its walls echoing with the soft hum of covert communications. Senior officers gathered around the circular table, their faces etched with suspicion and worry as they awaited the unfolding of revelations that could very well determine the fate of the remaining human resistance. "Something is amiss," Arya began, her voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty that coursed beneath it. "Our recent communications indicate that someone within our ranks has been leaking information to the enemy. I cannot fathom the motive behind such betrayal, but I will not allow it to undermine our resolve." Her words, though measured, sent ripples of disquiet through the gathered officers. Eyes darted across the room, each silently questioning the loyalty of those seated beside them. Before any further discussion could take root, an encrypted signal interrupted the tense silence, a message from an unexpected source. The signal, dated and coming from a once-forgotten colony on the fringes of known space, carried intelligence that could tip the scales in humanity's favor. The message detailed a vulnerability in Admiral Cale Draven's fleet formation, a chink in the enemy's seemingly impenetrable armor that had been long overlooked. "Captain, this is Lieutenant Corrin from the outpost of Elysium 7, came the distorted voice over the secure line. "We've discovered coordinates and tactical insights that could cripple Draven's advance. I urge you to trust in this information. It might be our only chance." A murmur of hope and cautious optimism rippled through the room. However, the revelation was tempered by the shadow of betrayal that still hung over the crew. In hushed tones, officers debated whether to trust this mysterious ally, questioning if the message was yet another ruse to further destabilize their fragile unity. Amid these murmurs, a trusted advisor of Arias, Commander Silva, stepped forward. His gaze was resolute as he addressed the captain. "We may be betrayed from within, but this intelligence could save us. We must act swiftly and decisively, even if it means risking further discord." Arya weighed the gravity of the decision. With each passing second, the enemy pressed closer, and the cost of inaction loomed large. "We have little time to confirm the source, but the potential advantage cannot be ignored," she declared, her tone firm and unwavering. "I'm ordering a covert recon mission. A select team will rendezvous with Lieutenant Corrin to verify the coordinates. Any signs of treachery, and we strike back at the traitor among us." As preparations began in earnest, the corridors of the Aurora's Edge buzzed with a new energy, a blend of determination tinged with the bitterness of betrayal. Shadows that once danced harmlessly along the bulkheads now took on sinister forms, a constant reminder that trust was a luxury in these perilous times. The crew, though shaken, rallied behind their captain. They knew that every secret uncovered, every alliance questioned, was part of the greater struggle for survival. In a secluded docking bay, under the dim glow of emergency lights, the recon team gathered. The air was thick with anticipation, each member acutely aware that their mission could expose not only a fatal flaw in the enemy's armor, but also the identity of the traitor lurking in their midst. The mission was fraught with peril, but it was a risk they were prepared to take. Anything to reclaim the hope that had begun to flicker weakly amid the encroaching darkness. Within the secretive confines of that war room, Captain Arya Nova's mind was a whirlwind of strategy, suspicion, and resolve. The battle was no longer solely against a relentless enemy. It had grown into an internal war where trust was as vital as weaponry, and betrayal could strike as unexpectedly as enemy fire. With a heavy heart and a determined spirit, she embraced the dual challenge: to safeguard her crew from external annihilation and to unmask the traitor who threatened to tear them apart from within. In the swirling chaos of interstellar warfare, the Aurora's Edge and its relentless adversary found themselves locked in a high-stakes duel, not merely of firepower, but of ideology and spirit. Within the warship's command center, Captain Arya Nova wrestled with the dual burdens of leading her crew into battle and confronting the moral dilemmas that had long haunted her. At the same time, far beyond the battered hull of the Aurora's Edge, Admiral Cale Draven orchestrated his cold and calculated maneuvers with a precision that belied the storm of personal vendetta raging within him. In the hushed moments before the next onslaught, Arya stood at her station, eyes fixed on the tactical display that shimmered with live data. Her mind replayed the recent betrayal, its sting a constant reminder that even the strongest bonds could be shattered by treachery. Yet amid the lingering shock, a resolve began to harden within her. She recalled the faces of her crew, each a beacon of hope and loyalty amid the darkness of space, and found solace in the responsibility they placed upon her shoulders. "We stand as one," she murmured softly, almost as a prayer, as she methodically adjusted the warship's systems for the impending engagement. Meanwhile, in a secluded command chamber aboard the enemy flagship, Admiral Draven surveyed his monitors with an intensity that bordered on obsession. His fingers drummed on the sleek console as he contemplated the recent setbacks, a betrayal within his own ranks that had momentarily disrupted his calculated plans. Unlike Arya's compassionate reflections, Draven's thoughts were steeled by a singular purpose: the eradication of what he deemed the chaotic impulse of humanity. His inner monologue, cold and unyielding, revealed a man consumed by a desire for absolute order. "Every human flaw must be excised," he intoned silently, his gaze unblinking as he recalibrated his strategies to exploit the vulnerabilities he had uncovered. Back aboard the Aurora's Edge, the tension was palpable. The recon team, having returned with a mix of hopeful intelligence and stark warnings, reported details that blurred the line between salvation and further deception. The revelation of enemy weaknesses was tempered by the uncertainty of who among them had turned traitor. In a confidential briefing, Arya's officers debated fiercely over the next steps, each argument steeped in the gravity of their shared fate. The dialogue was terse, punctuated by the occasional, desperate plea for unity that sought to override the fear of internal discord. As the two opposing forces prepared for their next move, their internal worlds converged in a duality that defined the nature of war. For Arya, every order she issued was laced with empathy and burdened by the memory of fallen comrades. Every strategic adjustment was a calculated risk to preserve not only her crew, but also the flickering hope of humanity's future. In stark contrast, Draven's commands were devoid of such hesitation, his tactics driven by an unrelenting determination to impose a rigid order upon the universe, a universe he believed was marred by the inherent chaos of human existence. When the next volley of enemy fire erupted, both leaders were thrust into a maelstrom of conflicting priorities. Arya's fingers danced over the controls, her mind racing to adapt to the enemy's sudden shifts in formation. The ship's interior vibrated with the echoes of combat and the raw urgency of survival. In that intense moment, the dual dilemma reached its zenith. The external threat demanded tactical genius, while the internal struggle questioned the very essence of their choices. Amid the roar of explosions and the crackle of communication channels, Arya and Draven became two sides of the same coin, each battling not only the enemy across the void, but also the demons within their own hearts. The chapter closed on this precarious balance, with the Aurora's edge hurtling through the chaos of a cosmic battlefield and Admiral Draven's forces aligning for another decisive strike. In the silent spaces between orders and countermeasures, the dual dilemma of preserving life and enforcing order echoed across the expanse, a haunting prelude to the collision that loomed on the horizon. The cosmos itself seemed to shudder as the inevitable collision of destinies unfolded near the dying embers of a supernova. The Aurora's Edge and Admiral Draven's flagship converged in a region where the void pulsed with raw, chaotic energy, a fitting arena for a confrontation destined to redefine the fates of entire civilizations. Captain Arya Nova stood resolute at the helm, every fiber of her being alert to the rhythm of impending combat. Before her, the tactical display exploded in a riot of signals. Enemy vessels darted like dark specters, weaving intricate patterns against the glow of a collapsing star. Every maneuver was a high-stakes gambit, each decision carrying the weight of countless lives. Arya's heart pounded with both determination and a trace of trepidation, knowing that this moment would demand everything from her: strategy, courage, and the painful willingness to risk it all. Across the void, Admiral Kale Draven surveyed the unfolding chaos from the command deck of his flagship. His eyes, unyielding and cold, flickered with a merciless calculation as he orchestrated his fleet's formation. The betrayal within his ranks had only sharpened his resolve. In his mind, humanity's chaos must be purged, even if it meant sacrificing the remnants of order on his side. His inner monologue was as relentless as the enemy fire, a steely mantra of extermination and control. The battle ignited in a brilliant flash as energy weapons unleashed torrents of plasma and ionized debris. The Aurora's Edge weaved through the tempest, its engines screaming in defiance of the gravitational pull of the nearby star. Explosions rippled across space like violent brushstrokes on a canvas, each burst a testament to the ferocity of combat. Amidst the swirling chaos, the two leaders' fates converged, each command, every countermeasure, a silent duel of wills. As the conflict raged, a fateful moment crystallized on the bridge of the Aurora's Edge. The enemy flagship, its hull shimmering with the scars of relentless assault, came into direct alignment with Arya's vessel. Through the cacophony of alerts and the clamor of warfare, a secure channel opened, a rare, deliberate line of communication between the two adversaries. Admiral Draven. Arya's voice resonated, firm yet laced with an undercurrent of weary resolve. This endless cycle of retribution only deepens the void between us. Is this truly the legacy you wish to imprint upon the cosmos? A pause, a silence pregnant with the gravity of unspoken truths, ensued before Draven's measured reply crackled over the channel. Captain Nova, your idealism is as formidable as your tactical acumen, he intoned, his voice unyielding and cold. But hope is a fragile construct. Order must be restored, even if it means extinguishing the chaotic spark of humanity. Their exchange, brief yet laden with meaning, echoed across the battlefield. It was more than a clash of tactics. It was a collision of philosophies. In that heartbeat of confrontation, the universe itself seemed to lean in, bearing witness to the struggle for the soul of existence. The ensuing minutes were a ballet of desperation and brilliance. Arya's crew executed daring maneuvers, exploiting every chink in the enemy's formation with a precision born of sheer necessity. The warship shuddered under the relentless barrage, but it pressed forward, its spirit unbroken. Each burst of energy, each calculated dodge, further tightened the noose around Admiral Draven's fleet. Simultaneously, on Draven's bridge, the Admiral's focus sharpened to an almost surgical point. With each command, he sought to crush the spirit of resistance, to snuff out the flickering flame of hope that Arya embodied. Yet, in the tumult of battle, hints of doubt began to infiltrate even his impenetrable facade, an unspoken acknowledgement that the chasm between order and chaos was not as clear-cut as he had believed. The clash reached its zenith as a decisive maneuver unfolded, a synchronized strike where the Aurora's edge's countermeasures converged with the enemy's vulnerable flank. In that explosive moment, the void was awash with light and shadow, a fragment of a star's dying brilliance intermingled with the burst of plasma, creating a scene both awe-inspiring and tragic. The enemy flagship reeled, its structure faltering under the relentless precision of human ingenuity. In the final seconds of the battle, as silence began to reclaim the space ravaged by warfare, both leaders remained locked in their dual confrontation. A war fought not only in the vast emptiness between stars, but within the depths of their own convictions. The Aurora's edge emerged battered yet defiant, its scars a testament to the price of survival. Admiral Draven's fleet, though wounded, still clung to the remnants of its once implacable resolve. And so, as the cosmic dust settled and the final echoes of conflict faded into the starry void, the collision of fates left an indelible mark, a reminder that in the interplay of light and darkness, hope and despair, every choice carved a new chapter in the endless saga of the universe. In the aftermath of cataclysmic battle, the cosmos bore witness to a haunting stillness, a silence so profound it seemed to mourn the fallen. The Aurora's edge drifted amidst a field of debris and smoldering wreckage, its battered form silhouetted against the vast tapestry of a healing universe. The echoes of conflict faded into the distance, leaving behind only the scars of war and the fragile ember of hope. Captain Arya Nova stood upon the bridge, her gaze fixed on the remnants of the enemy fleet now scattered like shattered dreams across the void. The light of distant stars, softened by the dust of devastation, cast a gentle glow that lent the scene an air of melancholic beauty. Every wound on her vessel, every echo of the past, was a solemn reminder of the lives lost and the heavy toll of survival. Yet, beneath the grief lay an unyielding determination, a promise that from these ashes, humanity could rise anew. The crew, their faces etched with fatigue and resolve, gathered in quiet clusters. Whispers of sorrow mingled with hopeful murmurs as they recounted tales of valor, of the narrow escapes that had defined their battle. Among them, Lieutenant Mara and Commander Silva exchanged knowing glances, their silent camaraderie reaffirming the bonds forged in the crucible of strife. Each scar told a story, each memory a lesson in the cost of defiance. In the secure confines of the command center, Arya reviewed the day's battle reports and intercepted communications. The data chronicled not just the enemy's retreat, but also hints of change, a tentative truce emerging from the chaos, as fragments of Draven's once-feared fleet began to scatter into disarray. For a fleeting moment, the rigidity of relentless war softened into the possibility of reconciliation, the idea that even the deepest wounds might heal with time and understanding. A solemn announcement reverberated through the ship's corridors. "All hands, this is Captain Nova. We have endured an ordeal that will forever shape our destiny. Let today be a testament not only to our struggle, but also to our resilience. We stand at the threshold of redemption, a new chapter where every sacrifice lights the way to a future built on unity, not division." Her voice, though heavy with the weight of loss, carried an unyielding promise, a beacon of hope to guide the survivors through the long night ahead. Outside, as the Aurora's edge slowly resumed its journey through the quiet expanse, the cosmic vista unfolded in an ever-changing panorama of distant nebulae and serene, glimmering star clusters. The war was over, for now, and in its wake lay the raw potential for rebirth. The warship sailed onward, its engines whispering a lullaby of endurance and renewal, while the silence of space cradled the echoes of valor and redemption. In that transcendent moment, amid the ashes of a battle that had nearly ended humanity, Captain Arya Nova allowed herself a brief, bittersweet smile. The cost had been immeasurable, yet the spark of hope flickered on, persistent, resilient, and luminous. The scars of the past would forever be a part of them, but they would also serve as the foundation upon which a more compassionate future could be built. The endless void, once a canvas for chaos and despair, now held the promise of new beginnings, a promise that even in the face of oblivion, humanity's spirit would endure, burning bright against the dark tapestry of the universe.